Hey, what's up, y'all? This is Jamel, Mr. Jamel Mims. But over here, everybody calls me Mi Jiao Mao, and I'm here to answer y'all's questions about China. Mr. Edward sent me an email, said, "You gotta answer these questions. My kids want to know about this place." So here I am. All right, here we go. First things first. How many people live here? Well, China has the second largest population of any nation on Earth. I think the U.S. is in third with about 300 million, and 1.3 billion people live here. Beijing itself is pretty densely populated. You go to the subway, there's always people cramped, and it's a lot of people here. It has about 11 million people altogether. If you think about Chinese traditions, this culture has been around for about 2,000 years, as far as we know. Some people even say about 10,000. So, as one of the world's oldest civilizations, they have an uncountable number of special traditions, or what you'd call traditions. But the stuff that's most like us, big holidays like we have Christmas and Easter or New Year's. Chinese New Year is this year. It'll fall in late January, but it usually falls in February, and you get a red envelope with money in it from usually your parents or grandparents. So it's a lot like Christmas. And Mid-Autumn Festival, which usually falls around mid-October, and you eat lots of small moon cakes. I've never eaten dog, or I guess I should say I haven't eaten it yet, or cat. But squid and rabbit and animal hearts I've all had while I've been here. Chicken hearts are pretty popular. You can buy them just around the corner on the street. They sell them. They grill them up right for you, and it's pretty good. It's pretty tasty. I guess other strange foods would be things like sheep intestines that you eat. You usually have that fried or grilled. Like squid. Some people think sushi is kind of weird, fresh fish. But I mean, we got chitlins, so. Chopsticks have always been around in China since 1600 BC, since before then probably. I'm pretty sure they predate the knife and the fork and most of the utensils we use, like the spoon. But chopsticks, it's actually called kuaizi. And what they do, they allow the fingers to be longer, so you can grab your food without poking at it or stabbing it like you would with a fork and a knife. And plus, most of the stuff that you eat comes already cut up on plates, and it's a good way to be able to share your food with others. Sometimes they have little tiny forks for cake, for birthday cake, but mostly they just use forks for American food or Western food, European food, Brazilian food. How much is $10 American? $10 American is about 67 renminbi. $1 American is 6.7 renminbi. But the way you use money here is about the same. So if you think about it, $100 is 670 renminbi. But like, if you go to dinner, a dinner usually costs about, for one person, will cost you about 20 to 24 renminbi. A pair of tennis shoes, let me think. I bought a pair of Dunks for about 300 renminbi, but I'm not sure if they're real or not. A movie ticket is pretty expensive. It's about 80 renminbi. And if you go to most like Western restaurants to eat food, it'd be about 90, sometimes 100, 120 renminbi. Not to everybody. I mean, bowing is extremely, extremely, extremely polite. Between my friends and I, we don't bow to one another or anything like that. We mostly just, dap each other up. But for most greetings, people don't really bow to one another unless you're in a pretty formal setting. It's a sign of respect, obviously. Another sign of respect besides bowing is to put one hand over the other. It's called baoshou. in the sign of respect, to cover the hand. And you just... Do they all take off their shoes when they go somewhere, enter a house? Chinese people. Most Asian people do. Chinese people, Korean, Japanese. It's a really good way to keep the dirt from the ground outside, which is usually pretty dirty outside of your home. But yeah, most people take off their shoes and then will have a little place in the front of their homes where they can put their shoes and change the slippers as soon as they get in the house. No, for the most part, most of the men and women are what we would consider in America pretty short. Yao Ming is a pretty huge exception. The average height here is a lot shorter than Yao Ming. Not mostly these days. People don't really write on scrolls. People usually use notebook paper and pens and pencils. But they used to write on scrolls, and pretty much stopped using it at the end of dynastic rule in about 1910, sort of at the end of the century, at the end of the 20th century. But yeah, most of the only stuff that really scrolls nowadays is just Chinese text messages on your cell phone. Well, yeah, it's pretty difficult to write in Chinese. But it's really easy to type in, and it's really easy to recognize as well. But remembering all the radicals and the characters takes some getting used to. But it's a system just like English, where you have root words that have root meanings, and you just break the symbol down by its meaning. You can even look at one symbol, and if you don't know how to pronounce it, you can break it down by its radical, by its different radicals. Yeah, it's pretty similar to learning how to sound it out and learning all the roots in English when you learn Latin or learn English, how that helps. A good website to go to actually is www.zhongwen.com. That's ZhongWen.com. And you can look up different Chinese characters and learn about language.